public for the purpose of conducting the school district's business and is not to be considered a public community meeting, FLSD policy 0165.1. Let's start with Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there anyone who wants to read the mission and vision?
I'd be happy to.
Go for it.
Our mission is to foster academic and social growth for each student in a safe, supportive school environment. Our vision is to be a learning community that inspires our students and staff to think critically, grow intellectually, and live with integrity.
Thank you. Can I have a motion for item 3, additions to and approval of the agenda?
I'll move.
I'll second.
Okay, thank you. Discussion. I would like to strike item, sorry, I should have had it written down. I think it's 15. Yes, the executive session from today's agenda, and save it for next month so that Tony can attend. And Eddie?
That sounds good. From talking to Tony, he said we might need to schedule a special meeting, but we'll be in communication with that.
That's fine.
Hopefully we can avoid that, but just in
Yep.
case.
Okay. And as well, item number 4, I would like to adjust it to be approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of July 17th, the special meeting of July 25th, and dispense of the minutes from the special meeting on July 27th, because I know Dave has not had a chance to review all the edits.
Thank you. Okay.
And that is partly my fault. I was on vacation and didn't get them to him in a speedy manner. Anyone else?
I had one thing. Under item 7, board coordination, the acceptance of the board committee report and the Beyond Differences Finneytown committee update, are those the same thing?
So I just talked to Lori. Those are different things.
Okay.
However, on that note, the bottom line where it says live stream, we can strike that from the
Okay.
agenda because it is the same thing as the video recording.
That was my other. Okay.
I'd like to make one other change to the minutes from July 17th. Well, I guess I can do that when we get to
Okay.
that. All right. I mean, I could do it now.
What do you want to do? That's fine.
I'll just do it when it comes up.
Okay.
Okay.
Any further discussion on the agenda?
Did we get the additions under the superintendent's recommendations?
Yes, there was an item, I didn't know if that needed to be part of, yeah, M.
M, N, and O.
And O, sorry. Okay. This isn't a roll call one, right?
No.
Okay.
You're gonna look at two.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
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 Motion passes. Moving on to item 4, do I have a motion for the approval of minutes of the regular meeting of July 17th, 2023, the special meeting of July 25th, 2023, and dispensing of the minutes from the special meeting of July 27th, 2023?
So moved.
I'll second.
Okay. Any discussion on the minutes for the 17th or the 25th?
I would like to make a correction to the July 17th minutes on page 14. The approval of consulting contract with Clear Sage Consulting, that should say for neutral facilitation instead of commissioning services.
Okay.
I'll make that correction. Thank you.
So page 17?
That's page 14. It's the minutes from July 17th.
There's a lot of pages for that one.
It's very top of page 14.
Gotcha. Okay. Any other discussion on the minutes? All right. All those in favor of approving the minutes from July 17th and July 25th, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. All right, item 5, administrative report.
So, busy time of year. We welcomed our staff back last Thursday. PTA hosted a fantastic breakfast for all of our staff members. We got to kick it off with some shared learning. We started a book on collective efficacy and had conversations in small groups with our staff around that. We have also, we had the fall sports kickoff. We had the marching band preview show, all well attended. We had an opportunity to meet with some of our faith-based leaders and talk about possible partnerships. One of the things I provided tonight was we did develop our schedule for our per-action cafes for this school year. We will have 6. Some of the things you'll note is they are on different days and they're different times. We'll have some during in-service days so we can get more staff attendance. We'll have some in the morning, some in the evening. So we're trying to design it a little different to hopefully get more staff, community, and students at those. We started our core meetings for the secondary campus project. We are meeting every other week with Skanska and Elevar in the OFCC on that planning. So that's exciting. Things are starting to take shape. And other celebrations and things that have happened, we had our Connect Day, which was a success. We had new staff orientation, which we've kind of changed to new staff training. It's 3 days where all our new staff members come in and learn about restorative practices, project-based learning. Our RP and PBL facilitators, they design and facilitate it. They did a fantastic job. Got a lot of positive feedback from our new staff.
How many new staff do we have this year?
We are right at, I think, 19. Yeah. So, and that's across the district in all buildings, including some support in preschool. Kindergarten enrollment is up. I know I don't have final numbers because we're still in the process of registering some, but last count was 99, so that's exciting. Oh, we met with food services, and I know that was something that was brought up. Tina Reynolds, who is our key lead at Milford Food Services, she will be in attendance at September's meeting and give us an update. There have been changes, including any family that qualifies for reduced lunch. The state is covering at no cost. They're supplementing that cost to districts. That's supposed to take effect October 3rd, but Milford's working with us, and so that will take effect actually immediately for our families. So that's positive, and then she'll have more information on food choices and options and things like that for us when she comes talks to us in September. We, as you may have received, the heat is impacting us. If you walk through our hallways, as you can tell, this is actually an air-conditioned space. It may not feel like that right now. So we will be doing early release starting tomorrow through the end of the week for our secondary campus students. That communication was sent out by email, text, website, and it's also been posted to social media. So the staff will still report. We do have air-conditioned space for the staff to work in during that once the students are released, but it will not impact Finneytown Elementary. They will run as normal with the air conditioning. That was very pleasant today when I was over there, so that's good. And I think that's it for me. Oh, also our football team won. They played in Indiana this past week, and they started off the season with a win, so that's very exciting for them.
Big win, too.
Big win,
It wasn't
yeah.
even little.
So, and you might have noticed we are going to work really hard to post weekly about the upcoming events on social media. So hopefully we will have opportunities to go out and support our Wildcats. That's my
Can I ask a
update.
quick question?
Yeah.
The meeting with the faith-based leaders, what did that look like as far as partnerships and things?
We've extended the invite for them to come to the first Pro Action Cafe to explore it more
Awesome.
with other community members. But I think that team is going to have some ongoing connections and things like that.
That's
So try to figure out what systems can go into place so that when they're able to volunteer or support, they have a seamless way to do that because we've been able to identify our needs, so.
That's great. Are those all churches in or synagogues that are around the area that are close that Finneytown residents could attend?
Yeah, that was one of our challenges. We didn't get as much attendance as we wanted, so we had, I think, 3 or 4 churches represented. But those faith leaders were gonna go talk to other churches to get more people in attendance, so hopefully we'll extend that beyond that group.
So would it be a resource on site for students who are faith-based, or?
No, it would be more, it wouldn't be to minister.
Okay.
It would be to provide tutoring or other supports.
Okay.
Or we're not really sure, like meals for events or things like that, other partnerships like that.
That's
So,
great.
I did want to also say we had our literacy kickoff for K-3. Our literacy leadership team led a great evening event where our staff came in and got to explore the material some more, have conversation, have dinner together, and think about what that looks like for our kids this year. So that was also exciting. And that was my report.
It's really sad. I missed all of the like grand big opening events this year. That was right when I planned our vacation, unfortunately. So it was kind of sad to miss everything. Did you want to discuss this as well right now, or is this separate?
That's just a copy of what
Okay.
they currently look at, like for
Oh,
board
okay.
coordination.
Got you, thank you. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, item number 6, public address. I have one. Were there any others turned in? Okay. I'm just gonna read the top part here so we are all clear. The board believes it is in its best interest and the best interest of the students of the district to hear comments from members of the public. It has been, therefore, a long-standing practice of the board to encourage and allow residents to speak at the public meeting. This may be done by completing the bottom portion of this form and giving it to the board president prior to the board meeting. The following guidelines ensure that anyone interested in addressing the board may do so and that the board conducts the business of the school district in an effective and efficient manner. Number 1, attendees must register their intent to participate in the public participation portion of the meeting upon their arrival at the meeting by completing this form and returning it to the board president or presiding officer. Number 2, each speaker is limited to 5 minutes. Number 3, for the public record, each speaker addressing the board must state their name, address, and group affiliation if and when appropriate. Any material or handouts must be presented to the treasurer for record. Number 4, the naming of individuals, profanity, abusive language, and speeches that invade individual privacies will not be tolerated or permitted. Number 5, the board will take no action regarding matters or issues presented through public address in the meeting in which the public address was made. All necessary follow-ups will be made verbally or in writing at a later date. All right, Michael?
Hi, good evening. I'm here this evening to ask again that the bathrooms that were constructed at the K-6 elementary school and labeled non-gender be reconstructed and appropriately labeled as boys and girls to honestly serve the young children that participate in the educational process at this school. Why am I asking this again? Because we are doing our children a huge disservice by not allowing them to identify with the God-given identity they were born with. They were not born with the label in question or I deny. They were born into this imperfect world as perfect gifts from our Heavenly Father. They were born with the status of either male or female. Non-gender is not a definition. These kids are defined by either XX chromosomes or XY chromosomes. That's it, 2 genders. They should be awarded the knowledge that their privacy is secure and safe every time they ask to be excused from the classroom to visit their appropriately labeled bathrooms. Unless we are willing to, in the future, allow boys into our daughters' dressing rooms and showers in the gym, which I am not. I am not willing to allow this to become the new normal for my daughters or any of their friends. K-6 is a very impressionable time with kids. Young children usually believe everything that an adult tells them. We have to deal with our children honestly and with the truth. By imposing this vile nonsense on students to the point of forcing these twisted ideologies on our students is not being truthful to them. Are we allowing an agenda to be taught here or the truth? Is it not the goal of education to teach the truth? If it is not the truth, which is the foundation of our education, that we are allowing lies, falsehoods, and deceit to stand in for the truth, and allowing the basis or foundation of our schools to be a lie which we are forcing our children to learn and to believe in. If education is not grounded in truth, then it is worthless. Worse than that, it is poison. So I'm asking this board to interpose on behalf of the children and the taxpayers of this district that are responsible for the truth to stand up and do the right thing for our kids. It is also now my hope that the design for the new building will have restrooms that are appropriately labeled for the young men and women that will be visiting them. Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to item 7, board coordination matters. All right, who would like to go first?
I can start.
Okay.
Let me pull up my notes. I made them while I was in the car going to a soccer game. All right. I want to start by saying, first off, welcome to all the new staff members at Finneytown. Whether you're an administrator or a bus driver, cafeteria staff, you're important, and we're happy that you're here. These buildings would not operate without any of you guys, so thank you as a parent and as a board member. PTA, the Fall Carnival is coming up on September 9th from 2 to 6. It's a great way to be involved. There's a billion jobs, so if you're interested in volunteering, reach out to one of those, reach out to Brooke Woods or myself or April Stat. We can hook you up in the right place, and it's good vibes, so it's a great way to be involved and connect. Finneytown Elementary PTA musical is Seussical this year, and that is for grades 3rd through 6th grade. So it's gonna be a lot of fun. Janet Kane, I can't think of his name right now, her husband, but they put a lot of time and effort into it, so it's a great way for your kids to connect with other students. Audition dates are August 26th and 27th. Rehearsals are August 31st through October 5th after school from 3:30 to 5:30. So the show is actually on October 6th through the 7th. Memberships are due, so if you're interested in being a PTA member, reach out to one of the PTA presidents and he can get you signed up for membership. And those proceeds go out to all of our staff members, all of our students, our after prom, hospitality, and all that is very important for our district, and it is crucial, and your dollars make a difference in our community. The FMPA, they're hosting a car wash that is going to be held on August the 26th from 11 to 3 at Finneytown Elementary. So come out, show your support for that. OSBA Student Achievement Affair, that's going to be coming up in November. We are looking for people to nominate in the district for art and also special programming or after schools. I don't know if you remember last year we had our district represented. So it'd be nice to have our district represented this year. Dr. Kareem Moffitt from CPS reached out. She is interested and she invited us to, it's a board admin open house at Union Terminal. And that will take place on Thursday, August 31st from 4:30 to 6:30. I do believe that it's no cost. They're gonna have beverages and appetizers. So if anybody's interested, let me know. Administrators, board members, leaders. August 31st, my anniversary. Yeah,
At what
so
time?
that's from 4:30 to 6:30 at Union Terminal. So it'd be a great way to connect and kind of partner with other districts, so. Newsletter, have we decided how we're gonna do that? Are we gonna do it as a board, as an entity, or are we gonna do separate remarks in the newsletter?
I think from what I've talked with Lori is that we're letting Tony do one poll as the board, so provide input to Tony and Tony will put one together.
Okay. I hadn't heard that, so I just wanted to clarify with that.
I'm fine with that, unless
Okay.
there's a board member that wanted, or board members that wanted to write individual remarks. My main reason for not being in favor of that was, what if someone writes 2 lines and someone writes a paragraph?
For sure.
Someone looks at it and says, well, this board member didn't take enough time to write
Yeah.
that. So if there was something that was cohesive as a board, I think that would probably be.
I'm
my
good to do
preference.
that. Lindsay had a good perspective, so I think that sounds good.
Otherwise, I think it's a really good idea.
Yeah.
So-
Let's do that, okay? And I was also gonna say staggered start, are we gonna do a one call now for that? I know you guys probably are, but I just wanted to confirm, just so families are aware, just in case they didn't make it out to open house, or,
I don't know, it was in the newsletter that went out.
Yeah.
I can ask MB. I can follow up with Meredith tonight.
Okay.
And ask her what the plan was.
okay, and I think that was my board coordination.
All right, well, between you and Lori, most of my coordination has been covered. So the FMPA did not meet this month, but I did get a summary of upcoming events. Main thing I wanted to mention was the car wash on the 26th, which you already mentioned.
What time was that?
So that is at 11 a.m. at Finneytown Elementary.
Thank you.
Also, the music parents have restructured their membership cost and done some restructuring with as far as different tiers of membership. So it's less expensive to donate to the program. The goal is to have more parents that are involved because make that cost less of a barrier for those that want to that want to donate and be more involved in running the Music Parents Association. So please contact April Bruder if you are a music parent and you'd like to be a part of leadership roles in the music parents. The long-range facilities planning team did not meet this month. Lori pretty much already covered things that are going on with that. I will say in regards to facilities, the property adjacent Whitaker, that's Warder Park, if you haven't been back there, it's really cool with what they've been doing, what the township has been working on. They put a paved path, which I personally was not expecting. I don't even think that they had decided until a few months ago, but I'm excited because now I'll be able to go back there with my kids and walk with the stroller, and they've combined the ponds into one pond. They've run electric from Winton Road, so it's really coming together quite nicely. So my understanding is it's open to the public, as it's always been. They just still working on finishing up some things. One concern that I did have, I already shared this with Mr. Anderson, this is more just of a suggestion. With it being so hot, I was pretty concerned about how our kids out on the playground at Finneytown Elementary. And the other thing is, on weeks like this, if you notice, playgrounds that have shade or trees are still being used, and ones like ours probably won't be being used in the afternoon except by our students. So a concern that I did have was with shade on the playgrounds. I already shared that with Mr. Anderson, and I think he's looking into what possibilities could possibly be addressed by that. But that was something that I know my family would use if there was shade, but we won't personally be going there and using it during the day when it's hot like this if there's not shade and not trees. So that's something that I think might help our staff as well. If there was some sort of a covering, I'm sure that they're just roasting on days like this, unless sometimes they have indoor recess. I don't know if they're having indoor recess this week. Are they?
They'll be indoors.
Okay,
At
so-
least some, they'll be outside some, but they're
Okay.
not gonna be outside.
I
at-
didn't
at
think
the
they
same
probably would.
time they
So that was
typically
just sort of an ongoing concern that I had. I didn't know how the rest of the board felt about that, but that's something that could make that space more useful in addition to maybe thinking about better playground equipment. Sorry to say that. But maybe that's something to talk about after the secondary project is done. But I think we could do better than what is currently there. I think what we have for the younger kids in the back is great, but having something a little nicer for the older kids could be a nice addition. Finally, in my capacity as a teacher in Northern Kentucky, I got to visit a whole bunch of different education-related businesses and organizations. So I actually got a tour of Diamond Oaks from one of their, I can't remember his title, but essentially their principal. So if any board members have questions you want to ask about my experience at Diamond Oaks, I was really impressed by the campus, and it's a great ongoing partnership that we have with them. So I was there as a teacher, but also kind of as a board member to learn, and I learned quite a lot. So we have students that go there, and they're getting a great education. So that is all that I have.
Okay. For mine, I have sports between the boosters and FAA. I did not attend, actually I kind of did attend a boosters meeting. It was at the end of July. Not really a lot going on except kicking off all of the fall sports, which has already pretty much happened. The big thing is they're trying to make sure that they have people willing to volunteer and help, and they really need people to be active in their kids' sports and volunteering and helping them. As a kid, I don't think you realize just how much the adults do to make it happen. Big thing being concessions. They are trying to work through a new program to require parents to take one shift working concessions. That is going to be a huge help as it is, and even if you don't have a kid, I've heard that working concessions is a lot of fun. So something to think about doing. Grab a friend or two and maybe take a shift. Long-range facilities did not meet. Policy committee has a meeting on 9/11. I am trying to make sure I can make it. I should be able to. So there's that. And then OSBA has the Capitol Conference coming up. It's November 12th through the 14th. Please let Latora know by September 7th if you plan on attending part or all, if you need lodging, things like that. And also don't forget that there is mandatory training on the sunshine laws. It is due October 31st. And that's everything that I had.
All right, just really quickly, had a discussion earlier about the budget changes and the universal ed choice. That's what worries me the most about the district, but it's the unknown and not knowing the impact that it will have on us. Dave, if there's a way that we can figure out a way to look at it when it comes into effect and how it is impacting us, and if as a board we can have some insight. I know it's not going to be immediate when it comes into effect immediately, but we'll need some sort of leading indicators or some way to address that with us so we kind of know and can answer questions. I'm getting a lot of them from the community, and not having an answer other than we don't know what the impact's going to be, and that no one really does at this time. So it's just something to keep in mind. And I'm going to reiterate, if you want to get involved in the community, please help our support organizations, help our schools. The kids are great. All of the programs are great, providing wonderful services for the kids and the community. So if you can get involved, please do. We're talking about concessions for parents. Both my kids play sports, and being able to watch your kid play football rather than having to work in concession stands is a big deal, right? So maybe if basketball parents can help out the football team and then football parents can repay it back during basketball season, it might be a good way to allow parents to watch their kids participate rather than working, and they work really, really hard. So just please, yourself, or if you have some friends that would volunteer, reach out to them and let them know how much it would help our families. So, thanks.
I think the next item on here is a video recording of meetings discussion.
We wanted to switch. I'm sorry.
Do you mind?
Yes.
Sorry, yes.
I'm sorry. We wanted to go to the strategic planning part.
Okay.
Let me throw my pen in.
So we will continue back with that after
Yes.
this. Yep.
Yes.
And so Tony was going to do the introduction, but since he was not able to be with us tonight, I will. One of the things that came out of the last special board meeting was the board's desire to do strategic planning. Our previous strategic plan expired at the end of last school year. And that was done. It was a 5-year plan. And so Tony had reached out and had a conversation with Mr. Tom Burton, and he's joining us tonight to kind of share what it could look like and if we partnered and how he would lead us through that. So
Awesome.
welcome, Tom.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Thanks
What
for
an
being here.
unbelievable crowd. I was a superintendent for a lot of years, and a work session never got this amount of people. So just show of hands, who are parents, current parents in this district? Okay, just concerned citizens? That's awesome. So I'm Tom Burton, 36 years in education. I just retired August 1st. I'm terrible at retirement, which is why I worked on August 1st and worked every day since. Took one day off, actually, for my 40th high school reunion. I don't know if you guys have been to those, but holy mackerel, was that interesting. I graduated from Cleveland Heights High School right outside of Cleveland. I moved down here 8.5 years ago to take on a role at Princeton, and have loved it ever since. I've been intimately involved in strategic planning for 28 years. I've led strategic planning. I've also been an integral part of it. I've also been on the other end of strategic planning, just coming into that. So I like to say this first, because I'm a big activity guy. I think it's really, really important. So if you don't have something to write with, that's okay, but I want you to think of this. I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. It's really important for the board to do this. I'm gonna ask you 3 questions. Write down your very first response that comes to your mind, and you guys in the audience too, if you could just think of what your first response is or write this down. I'm gonna ask 3 questions very, very fast. What color are you thinking about? What flower are you thinking about? What piece of household furniture? Color, flower, household furniture. As soon as you're done, put your pen and pencils down or stop thinking about that. So color, flower, household furniture, just very quickly. Now, just show of hands if you chose red or blue. Interesting how well I know you already. What about rose, tulip, or daisy? Couch, love seat, or chair?
Couch. I'm missing
Gotcha.
my couch.
I got you. Okay, yeah. You're thinking about that now. You want to go back home. Yes. Yeah. So this is one of the things with strategic planning. You're like, why does this have any relevance? This is so much relevance because when we dig into strategic planning, we need to think differently. But inherently, what happens a lot of times is we don't necessarily think differently because we're all bound by a learning system that we actually took part of. So our own schooling, our own home situation, and so forth. So we have to get outside of ourselves. And by doing that, I think we come with the best strategic plan in and of itself. So if everybody wants to take a look up here, so I'm going to kind of go through a couple different things very quickly, but essentially, I put this together. There's another person that I'm working with as well who has 43 years of educational experience, Dr. Mary Phillips, and we've come up with these different questions. So it's really critical for us to understand where Finneytown is right now. And so some of that we've already done. We've done a deep dive into the data to see just what we could find online through state report cards and so forth. Where does Finneytown want to go? I really don't know, but that's part of why we have this process. And then how are we going to achieve these goals? So wherever you want to go, we need to be able to have strict measurements along the way so we can understand how far we've come. And then ultimately, how are we going to know that we accomplished any of these goals? So for instance, the last strategic plan I took part of, Princeton City Schools, we looked specifically at every single one of our objectives. They have to be measurable. If they're measurable, then you actually know where you're going. There's this old adage, how do you know how to get there if you don't know where you're going? And that's really what it is. We don't plan vacations by saying, hey, let's get in a car and drive. We're like, there's a destination. So that's the strategic plan process, is to understand where that destination is. Now on the front end, with any type of strategic plan, many, many times, are there any educators out here? Okay, all right. So you guys know that a lot of times with strategic planning, what happens is that you do a strategic plan, rah, everyone's so excited, and then what happens? You put it on a shelf. That can't be a strategic plan. That's not strategic thinking, that's a failed process. So this is a livable, breathable document that's constantly evaluated. So it's really, so regardless if it's 3 years, 5 years, or whatever, it has to be evaluated. Because who would have thought 5 years ago that AI would be this huge conversation? But AI's been around forever. But now it's this huge educational conversation of what are we going to do with AI? Are we going to embrace it? Are we going to embargo it? And so forth. So then when you look at the strategic planning process, this is why everybody's here. This is why it's so great to see so many people here. So the students, staff, families, alum, Board of Education members, community members are intimately involved in the process. Obviously, the Board of Education, we have to have a workshop and really talk about from your perspective where you see the district going. The administrators in this district, the teachers, the staff, the students are so critical to this process, as well as the families and the community members, and we have to engage. And so how do we do that? When you look specifically at there's a strategic planning framework that we've used before. We've done this, we've actually failed at this before, and we've learned through the process. So prepare, assess, collaborate, present, launch, and then operationalize. And then there has to be monitoring throughout. So that's one of the things for sure that we would bring is constant monitoring, constant engagement. What does that look like? And then really there'll be conversations with the Board of Education, with everybody, without the Board of Education, without the administrators, with just students, just community, just families. Everybody pulling groups together is critical in this. But one of the things I have to say on the front end, there is no ultimate goal that I have other than getting the best strategic plan for the students that Finneytown serves. You know, when I was walking in here, I saw the kids. I'm sure they were picking up schedules, looked like they were playing a basketball or playing some sports. It was awesome walking around. I passed a couple of them. They were so polite, so nice. I asked where the media center was. Little trick, I actually knew where it was because Lori gave me great directions. But it was amazing, so polite. And those are the kids that we have to serve. Boy, are we blessed to be able to do that. So when you look at this, right, there's really a strict timeline that has to be followed with strategic planning because it is really easy to get off on different tangents. It's so easy. So first, September, right around the corner, it's crazy to believe that. But when you think about like, what does that look like? That's when the natural engagement starts. And so we meet with key stakeholders. We start with the Board of Education, school administrators, and all of the entities that I mentioned, that's who we engage with. So the people that are here who may have gone to Finneytown, who are alums, or maybe just literally just, hey, I want Finneytown to be the best school district possible, and I'm a community member, and my tie is a community, you'll be engaged as well. And so, you know, one of the things we looked at and I really loved that the mission statement was read initially, but what we wanted to think of is what could we kind of pull out of the mission statement? What does it actually look like? So when we look at mission statements, it needs to not just be repeated, it needs to be not believed all the time, it needs to be behaved. There's a big difference between what I say and what I do. So the mission statement has to be something that we behave to make it happen. I know it may not be the best grammar, but that's the way that we say it. So think, grow, live. Those three words are really critical of where Finneytown is and ultimately probably where Finneytown wants to go. So we start in September, then we move to October, and we start assessing. We do a SWOT analysis and kind of dig down deep. So over the course of this, the engagement, let me back up with the engagement. Engagement, some will be face-to-face, some will be online. Some will have different type of collection opportunities. So we're going to try to make sure that this gets all the way out so we get the most possible input into what it is that you want to see Finneytown ultimately become. And then the whole collaboration, that's November and December. So again, there's many touch points throughout the course of this. Then in January, February, that's when we come back to the Board of Education. And again, the Board of Education is intimately involved through this process. But we're going to come back and say, hey, this is what we found, this is what we've seen, this is what the community's saying, this is what you're saying. We bring everything in together, and then we say, what do you think? And then you say, I love this, don't necessarily like this, what do you mean by that? And then we work collaboratively then to kind of come back together, and then ultimately we present to the Board of Education. And that would happen in March.
Do you have any extra copies of these? Might you guys get this?
Yeah, and this will be shared with all this will be shared with all the board members as well. And then, so when you look at this, we want to gain approval. And this is really, really important. So when you think of strategic planning in and of itself, ultimately we want to get it approved, but we don't want to rush it. So when we go March, if there's still some questions, if there's still some concerns, if we want to kind of tweak things, then we'll do that. But ultimately, we really want to get this done in March so we can launch in April and bring the community in and have a big understanding of what it is and where Finneytown is going. And then ultimately operationalize in May. And then a couple hashtags, you know, love that together we can. That's really critical, right? Because we will work together. That's exactly what it is. And just on a side note, so when I decided to consult and speak, so I've been blessed to be able to go all around the country and doing all kinds of cool things. I'm working with several school districts and getting into the meat of things. I thought about like a company name. And I thought, you know, people gave me all kinds of ideas about stuff that, you know, that I personally talk about all the time. And I didn't like any of them because it wasn't a collaborative process. Any success that I've had has been because of other people and us working together. The people at Princeton, I believe, would say that, especially the Board of Education, I believe would say that I'm really very, very collaborative and I pull people together. We don't always agree, and actually, that's pretty powerful. So the secret to me to getting to the best point is if you have a meeting like this and you say, hey, Tom, I don't understand this. Let me push back on you. And then we talk about the feedback. That is absolutely critical. Radical candor and actually how we dissent professionally is the way to go. So we pushed and pulled all the time at Princeton. And I like to say, I'm very proud of what we've been able to do. We were 535 in student growth, and we went all the way up to number 11 in the entire state. And we met the achievement indicator, which is very, very hard to do in Princeton. It's a beautiful place. We moved down there 8 years ago for the diversity. There had to be a job, but if there was a job, we chose that because where I grew up, it was beautifully diverse. That's the way that the world is. To me, we need to embrace that, and that's what we did at Princeton. But typically, when you look at school districts that look like Princeton and have the economic disadvantage, they don't achieve like that. And the way that we were able to do it is because we worked together, we pushed and pulled, and we understood that together we're stronger. And so when you talk about we are Affinity Town, what does that actually mean, right? I love that hashtag, but that has to mean something, right? So that will be one of the very first questions asked. Say, we're Affinity Town, what does that actually mean? So we're gonna engage, we're gonna do all that, and one of the things I learned as a superintendent, when people present, I want them to give me the facts and leave time for questions. So there's a lot of time for questions, and I just ask the board if you have any specific questions, I'm here to answer anything that you have.
Thank you. Yeah, I know Tony couldn't be here tonight, so I assume that he approached you. Do you know Tony out? How do you know Tony?
Yeah, so Tony called me, and we had a really good conversation, and I should have recorded that because he said some really, really nice things. I didn't record it though. So he reached out and he talked, and he, lots of questions, lots of vetting. I thought I was done vetting with the questions, and he asked a couple more, but it was awesome conversation. So we talked specifically about kind of some of the overarching aspects of the goals the board was concerned about, that wanted to talk a little bit. Obviously, I also talked to Lori as well. And as a superintendent, I have to tell you, like, this is the board. Like, we need you to be involved. Like, this is not, so I'm gonna tell you, so for the community, understand, like, I have always held everybody accountable. Number one, myself. So if I say something, I don't say, hey, this is what we're gonna agree on. I'm big on making promises. If you make promises, then you're gonna hold me accountable, I'm gonna hold you accountable. So if I send you stuff, and I say, here's the deadline, you have to hit that because it's really, really important to understand where you guys are as a board members, and then ultimately being able to see, talk with the community, obviously the administrators, the staff, students, and so forth, but it's really gonna start with you guys.
So the prepare section is September, which is coming up rather quickly. What is the first action of the preparing? What do you need from us first, and how soon would you need it? I imagine we need to identify the stakeholders and who else is going to be involved. Is that what we do in September, or do we need to do that as pre-work for September?
No, well, so first we need to agree on terms
Yes.
and so forth,
Yeah.
right? So then when September comes, we'll have a meeting. You'll probably have to call a special work session, and we'll have to sit around and we're going to talk conceptually. Just about, there'll be anywhere between 8 to 12 questions, that really open dialogue that we're going to meet one-on-one as well, and then come together, and then really being able to kind of get into some of the details of what you guys, the direction you would like to see the district go. So, not necessarily access to your calendars, but we're gonna have to get some things on calendars. It'll probably be one day, if that's even possible, to do a bunch of one-on-ones, and then ultimately we'll have that special board meeting, work session, and then we'll kind of talk through some things and kind of get some general understanding of what we believe. We are Affinity Town, what does that actually mean? So we'll do a lot of that work. Dr. Mary Phillips will be with me that day, and she was lifelong. She actually did a lot of work with the state of Ohio as well. Went to a lot of school districts, did a lot of evaluations. Retired from Princeton once, we got her back. retired again, and she's done unbelievable work. She's been kind of my running mate for a long time. So, but that's basically what it is. So we can do one-on-one meetings, board meeting, and then you get with the central office administrators, building administrators, and then the teachers and the staff. And some of that will be like open-ended conversations. Some of that will be specific Google form, so questionnaires that we'll put out to allow for authentic input, which, by the way, for everybody, we're not collecting any information on anybody, so a lot of this will be anonymous, and with that, there's both good and bad to it, right? So we've seen that sometimes when people are anonymous, they're like, I didn't like when I was in 3rd grade, you know, Mrs. So-and-so didn't let me go out for recess, right? So there'll be some of that. There'll be some people that actually will have some pretty big bones to pick. We can't discard that, but we need to ultimately find a way to vet it so that we don't get stuck in a couple situations that really aren't Finneytown. But I've been around a long time. I just know that sometimes that's what happens when you collect information. So that will be out there.
Is there a cap as to how many community members we can invite to be a part of this? Or, I know we started, I think we came up with 10 people each that we were going to invite to be a part of it. So can we do more, depending on what we're
Yes, they
looking
might,
for?
you might give us guidance if we choose to go that way.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
here's what you did not see up there, a strategic planning team. You did not see that there. Because there's an authenticity when you talk about that we're gonna engage community, then we need to engage community. So we'll push out stuff. So literally, anybody who gets information in the community from Finneytown, whether it's emails or brochures or anything else like that, there'll be QR codes there to fill out information. It's gonna be a massive data set. And then when we come together, it's really, this is, the Board of Education is gonna be kind of working with me, and I'll be working with central office, and we're gonna be doing a lot, because this is the deal. So we have the strategic plan, but the people who make it happen are the people that are in the buildings every day. So that's why there has to be this uber collaboration to be able to make that happen. And so that's why we have to vet throughout the whole thing. So when we've done strategic plan, we threw it out for everybody. We invited the community in. And so we've actually had different breakout groups. There will be certain segments. I know you guys talked earlier about PTA, right? And there's still opportunities to volunteer. One more plug, anybody out there? Still opportunities to volunteer. But the reality is, because of their voice and because of their involvement, they see things maybe a little bit differently. So there may be some special segments that we invite in as well to kind of dig down a little bit deeper. But it's actually pretty straightforward. We're throwing it out to everybody. We want as much information as you possibly can. So it'll be Likert scales for those people that don't know that. So Likert scale, just simply, it'll be 1 through 4, never, seldom, you know, always, or whatever. So there'll just be a Likert scale, and so we'll go down and we'll collect that data that way, and then we'll do a functional analysis. And that's why that'll tell us exactly where we're at. But a lot of the questions, too, will be generated by the Board of Education as we kind of wrestle through some things, as well as the administration.
I have some follow-up questions, but I'm not sure now is the right time to ask. Just time. So some of the more specific things I might just send you via email.
Sure.
So things like cost or how many times you've done this, just some basic things. If I send you an email, will you be able to respond to the board with that, or
I will.
with specifics?
I
And then
will
how soon do we as a
respond
board
very quickly.
need to make a decision in order to stay on the schedule that you're proposing?
So whenever your next meeting is, it's September. It doesn't say like September 1st, we have to do these things, but in September, we really have to get going.
Yeah.
So it falls on your very first meeting. It happens in September. Just know that the workload that for you guys will increase significantly in a short period of time, because we're gonna have to do it. That's just it. And so how many times that I've specifically led strategic planning, it's been like, I would say, I'm giving myself credit for 4 times officially, but a kabillion unofficially. So like right now I'm working with some school districts, which I didn't even give myself credit for that. but I'm working with school districts on some strategic thinking, strategic realignment, strategic planning. And so I have, currently there's 4 local school districts. There's one in Northeast Ohio, there's another one in Youngstown, Ohio, there's New York, California, Texas, and Texas. Yeah, and there's really one other one. So I have other people that help and support me as well with this work. That's why Dr. Mary Phillips, I'm sure, yeah, I saw your brain going.
Yeah.
So Dr. Mary Phillips and I, because it's local, that's what we're doing. Some of the other states, you know, I'm more of a, you know, I'll go in, I'll present and all that, and I'll be there at big moments, but not like this. I'll be intimately involved. You'll see me a lot.
My other question was, how long does the total process take? Like, how many, I guess it would be, how much of it is prescribed by you and how much of it is what we need as a community? Like, as far as total hours and commitment, I guess that's part of the conversation that we'll need to have.
Sure, yeah.
So we're talking 100 hours, it could be a long time, 50
Yeah.
hours.
So there's a couple things too, because look, I'm always uber transparent. So you ask me a question, I'm going to answer it. Okay. So when I talked to Tony, he said that people have given some quotes, and you guys have worked with people before, and it was very expensive. As strategic plan goes, this is not very expensive. Lori did not necessarily say, can I get a Tom Burton discount? But essentially because it's local, because we're here, that's what it is. So there's going to be a lot of man hours outside. There's also, because it costs, there'll be man hours inside where people will be collecting data and so forth and just putting together some information. So we'll be doing that. So I would say, minimally you're talking a couple days a month. And then depending upon where we are with kind of rewrites and looking at things, it could be, you know, a little bit less, it could be more. It all depends on and how we kind of come together. But I'm going to say this though, one of the biggest, this is where people fail, when they wordsmith everything. The most important thing is that conceptually we understand the main goals. So where do we want to go? If we accomplish these goals, we're going to be the Finneytown we want to be, okay? And then how we get that, you know, we'll talk about that, but that's really during the day. That's Lori and her team and the teachers and administrators and staff making that actually happen. Now there's specific goals and there's reporting out and all that, which should happen to the Board of Education. And so when you do that, that's how you guys hold Lori accountable, Lori holds her team accountable, and we all hold everybody accountable. That's how that happens. But we sometimes get down into the weeds that we don't need to, and sometimes that happens administratively, sometimes that happens through the board, sometimes that happens through the beautiful community too.
Thank you.
Thank you. If you just provide your email for us, give me a follow-up question.
Sure.
You already have it.
I
so-
can send it, yeah.
And
Okay.
we'll be in touch, I suppose.
Yeah, and then send that, the presentation, that's great. But this is, I'm telling you, this is like literally amazing. I'm going to be talking about this night for a long time when I go out, because we try to get community engagement all the time. And this does not happen in other places. And Lori said that there was going to be a crowd here. I said, for a work session? Yep. That's pretty special. Thanks for you guys coming. Thanks for your attention. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
I'm gonna reorganize the next two and put the two beyond differences together here. The acceptance of the board committee report, is that from this meeting that we just had together, or is that from the June?
That's from the June.
Or May,
May, whatever the
okay.
last one was.
I thought we had already done that one, but okay. Do we have to do anything specific for that?
So really what that is anytime there's a board committee that meets during the month, the board should recognize the fact that those minutes were given to them.
Okay.
That's some way.
Okay. So
So
those
there
minutes
may
were
not be-
posted.
okay.
And I think they're in here, right? Or are they in here, or are they just posted online? We
So
talked.
this is for committees of the board not So like, for instance, beyond differences, that's a board committee.
Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. So, or, you know, groups like that. So,
Okay.
I don't know if they have minutes every month, but whenever they do, the board should accept them.
Okay.
So would our strategic planning, would that be a board committee that we'd be forming so that it would fall under the same guidelines?
I think it'd be a working session as a board if we're all together. It would be just a regular board meeting. Okay, so acceptance of the board committee report. We went over that 3 months ago. Was the last time I think you guys were here, right? Was it May or? I think it was May. Okay, and those minutes were posted. So then we have a new update today. Would you like to come on up?
Sure.
All right, good evening. Kelly Lynch and I were excited. Last week, along with Mrs. Lee, Mr. Gass, we got to meet a bunch of the administrative team, along with a few other employees that work towards the DE&I efforts within the district. So it was really nice for us to get to know you guys a little bit more than we already do, learn about some of the initiatives that you guys have going on, and just sort of express our support and our willingness to play a support role wherever we can, you know, for the administration and the board as well. I thought it was really important, and one thing that really stuck with me was just how a number of you pointed out how equity isn't just its own separate thing, how, you know, like it's all part of the greater whole, that these, you know, project-based learning, the restorative practices, the house system, like all these things are sort of intertwined with our goal to serve all of our individual students, you know, and give each student the best education. So I thought that was really awesome. I'm excited already to hear back from some of you guys to see how we can work together in the future. The survey that we put out, I want to thank everybody who's helped put that out. We currently have over 300 responses from that. Our plan is by the end of September to sort of take all the responses that we have up until that point and put a summative report together and have that ready for you guys at our next quarterly report, which should be in November. We're also got a long list of those that wanted to be contacted from the survey, you know, so with our role trying to facilitate dialogue, I think the survey was a really a positive way for us to start out, because it gives us a lot of information, and it was an easy thing for people to do. You know, it didn't have to go anywhere for it. It was quick and easy. So thanks to all the administration for getting that out. We also hope to we will be at the next Pro Action Cafe on the 11th of September. So we look forward to continuing to find out how we can work together with the survey. As I was saying, we got a lot of people that wanted to be contacted, so we have a contact list. One thing Mrs. Miller mentioned at the meeting was sort of like a directory, having a directory. So I've been thinking about that too, how like the people that responded aren't just a contact list where we can, you know, tell them, but it's when we reach out to them, it can sort of be, you know, reaching out to find out how everybody who wants to be involved in these efforts, you know, what skills and talents they have to contribute.
All right. Thank you very much. Any questions or?
I was just wondering, do we have a way to incorporate into the survey, like next time, maybe families who are struggling with food, transportation, other clothing resources? Because I know we didn't really touch on that particular topic.
It's a really good idea that we could do next time, I'm sure. That's a
I think
great
there are
way to
people who
figure
are
it
struggling
out.
internally, we just don't know it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a challenge, you know, to
Right.
think about like how much do we put on the survey, what is
Right,
the specific
exactly.
goal,
Not
but
too
then
long,
again,
for
like
sure.
how intertwined everything really is, you know, when it comes to equity. So I don't know, I think it'll provide a lot of great data, so I'm hoping that there are things that, you know, we could, either the district on its own or our committee could see it as a relatively easy, you know, way to get a lot of valuable information.
And I think if we're able to provide back valuable information, like
Yeah.
synthesize it and put it back out to the community, they'll see the benefit from it, and filling in that second survey or that next step would the
Yeah.
chicken and the egg, right? And if they're seeing yeah,
We call it
positive
second.
action from it, then they could be willing to do a second survey or do more work and hopefully get the same response from it. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay. And then video recording of meeting discussion. Do you want to lead that?
Per my request. So I just sent Lori an email because I knew that there was some discussion. I can't remember when it was, maybe some previous meeting. And I just know that some board members had brought up video recording. So I just wanted to have that discussion as a board. I know that there could be, I think I've only heard one or two of you share opinions about that. First, I wanted to ask Mr. Anderson, how many people do we usually have watching the live stream on a given night? Like right now?
Or reviewing it
Are you able
after
to
live
know?
stream.
Well, there are currently 8 total people that have looked at it tonight.
So usually 8.
Two at the current moment.
Okay. And then sometimes we'll have 200, 300
This year,
views.
yeah, if there's like, a bigger conversation, definitely more people.
Afterward. Okay. So
Yeah,
we're
there's
usually
definitely
good.
people, and then there are people that watch it, probably multiple times if they're interested
Okay.
in something to hear, understand what was discussed.
Should we be able to see how many unique views we have? Sorry, I should ask for this in advance. It's okay. We could start to discuss and you get back to us if you have that.
Yep.
So we have people that are watching the live stream. So the question, I know there were some board members proposing that we record all meetings, including special meetings. And I know that Lori has shared some opinions on that as well. So I just thought that we could have a discussion about what that would look like, what the costs associated with that would be, pros and cons.
Yeah, so just for some background, Lori and I have talked this one specifically several times about how we can do it, if we want to do it, what are the benefits. A lot of different reasons had come up for it. One, transparency. Two, there's a lot of reducing obstacles for people to attend and making sure people can see what's going on. For example, if they have childcare needs or other things going on, that they can still watch it at a later date or they can watch it live. It kind of removes some of those barriers and gets more engagement. And those are really the big reasons. I don't remember others, but we talked about it. I think that it's something that we should look into doing, just that way. I get a lot of questions about what happened at the special meetings. So there is interest in what's going on at those, and the minutes aren't always as exactly clear. That's where we have a lot of our discussions. We talk back and forth a lot more in those meetings, and I think it would be beneficial to have them recorded. I don't think it should always have to be Grant. That wouldn't be fair to him, but I'm interested in finding a way to do it.
I appreciate your perspective on it, and it's great to be transparent, but Grant is busy enough. I mean, we had 35 meetings last year. Could you imagine every time we've had a meeting to have that live stream, that much time and effort it takes him to put into that? I think it's a total of 3 hours each time to set up for the meetings.
And break it down.
And to break it down, that's unreal. I don't know.
That's a shocking
maybe
number
a
to
board
me
member
too.
could
And
be trained on it.
well, yeah, and that's one
assist
thing
with
that I don't think it has to always be Grant. My husband actually does videography professionally,
maybe he could
so
do it, yeah.
he would be happy to train people or help us figure out how to make it less time, because 3 hours is too much
That's
for setup
insane.
and tear down. It should not take that much just to record a meeting standing still. So there are options that we can certainly utilize, and I don't think Grant should have to do it all. Like it shouldn't be one person.
I think the other things we need to consider that our attorney advises with, we would also have to update our board policies to align with live streaming all of our meetings. He said that might be something we need to look at, as well as just making sure accommodations for all people who are viewing, which we should do anyway for right now for our current streaming, but have the ADA accommodations.
Yeah, that was my question when he brought up that point. That is a really good point, but we should have that anyways for live meetings too, right? If someone were to show up and need accommodations,
Yes.
we need to be able
If
to.
they requested ahead of time, we would absolutely provide it. So, and we did at graduation, and we do at other meetings.
Mhm.
So as long as we're aware of the need. So I think in terms of transparency, the meetings I understand about the minutes, but those meetings are announced and minutes are taken. Right now, just in our staff, we don't have the capacity to have somebody else do it. I don't think anybody else has that skill set right now in terms of all of what's going on. I mean, we have live streamed events before, but we'd be pulling people away from other duties to do that. And those other duties are assigned to, you know, so I just
Yeah,
think we
that's
need to weigh cost benefit around that, so.
If we did record special meetings, it may probably make them shorter. So that could be a potential positive. And there is something about being on camera, for those of you who have had meetings on camera. You're a little more careful with what you say, and you say a little less. It does change the dynamic of a meeting when you know that someone could play it back and it could be anywhere. So I think that's a negative to it. I mean, the positives are transparency. So it sounds like if we were going to record special meetings, we'd have to hire somebody part-time. So, I
I'm
mean.
not sure we would have to hire someone. I
We
think.
almost would, I mean,
Yeah.
Grant's providing a service on his salary, and that's great, but it sounds like it'd be too much for Grant, so we might have to find somebody else that has the skill set, or else hire somebody part-time.
I think the other part of this is many of your special board meetings are executive sessions. So.
And I would think that those would be
I don't know
excluded.
how effective or efficient that's going to be if it is, and at this time, we're going to executive session, so it's a 30-second live stream.
I would think that
And
we
or
would
paying
exclude
somebody to
those.
sit in another room while there's a discussion, and anywhere from an hour and a half to 4 hours later to emerge and say, and now our session is done.
So then how many of our meetings were special meetings of substance that were public with minutes recorded that weren't executive session?
Right, there were, I don't know, I don't have the exact number, but several of them were executive sessions that I would imagine we would not record.
Correct.
I imagine we could write the
Shouldn't.
policy to exclude the ones that are strictly
So it might
executive
be more like
session.
4 or 5 other meetings that were being recorded.
Maybe,
So-
maybe more, I don't know.
So the reason why I asked to put this on here is so that we can have a discussion about it. I don't think we have to make a decision tonight.
No.
I do think it would be helpful to know what we, if we were to do that, what we would have to pay someone part-time, which I guess is my proposal if that's what we were gonna do. And then the other thing is, for those of you that are watching, if we as a board feel like it's worth continuing to do this for those that are watching. Or those that might wanna watch it later. And I know we did not record meetings until COVID. Okay, so we're continuing to do it because of COVID. We just have to make a decision of whether this is something we're gonna continue.
Right. And maybe it's not seen as a value added. I have had community members ask me questions and make comments about how they would like to know what's going on in the special meetings, but they couldn't attend for whatever, it comes up a lot. Just an idea.
So do you think you could get back to us as far as costs and what that would look like?
I'm sorry?
More, not Grant, Lori, so I was
I got
looking
it.
at Grant
Oh.
while I was saying it.
I get it.
And then Grant, do you think you could get us numbers on viewers individually?
Yeah, I mean, it depends on the board meeting, but anywhere from as low as maybe like 30 or 40 total views all time to some are, 250, one's 350.
That's a significant number.
And it doesn't share necessarily unique users.
Yeah.
I think it's, I will say that I would caution us against having multiple people recorded, because if we're gonna do that, then we're gonna need to make sure they are all accessible in the same place. And so that is a reality.
There's a logistics
there's
challenge
some
to
technical
resolve.
parts
And the
of that.
records retention policy is what
Yeah,
Jason
and I
was
think that-
specifically speaking to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think, I kind of lean into, when our legal counsel advises us one way, I kind of lean into that, as well as we do have all of the minutes posted. Those are the official, records.
So I more just wanted to bring it up as a conversation, and I need to give it some thought, kind of decide even how I feel before our next meeting. And obviously,
Yeah.
our board president is not here. But I appreciate the additional information that we've had. This is a discussion that we can only have in public. I can't call them and talk to them about this, so I apologize to those of you that are sitting here, and I know it's getting late. So we can
Yeah. And I'm happy if there's any questions. Again, my husband does this for a living, so all of the things that Jason mentioned, sorry, as constraints or things to consider, they're all logistic things that have solutions out there. None of them shocked me or was anything that isn't solvable. Okay. Anything else on video recording of meetings? All right, moving on to paid parental leave notice on posting.
Yeah, I brought our current posting a sample. We just posted a kindergarten position due to some last minute shifts. And right now, as you can see, we have no benefit information on our postings, which is pretty standard if you go onto our front line where we post through. And so, you know, Dave and I were talking, and it doesn't make sense to put one benefit. It would be the whole package, and typically that doesn't go on the posting. So I just wanted to bring it up because someone had brought it up to me. Jamie and I had discussed it, and I wanted to see kind of what direction or how we wanted to address that moving forward.
I just want to know what would be the benefit if there's nothing else. I looked on the website to see if any other benefits were offered, and I didn't see that anywhere. So I don't know why we would put that on there when there's no other packages on there. Typically, when you receive the position, that's when you talk about benefits and packages. So we want to make sure people are coming to Finneytown for the right reasons. We're doing a great deed by offering this, but we don't necessarily have to advertise it or receive a pat on the back or recognition for doing so, in my opinion.
I don't think it has anything to do with a pat on the back. I think when you're hiring people, it's a funnel. And your process should be what eliminates people that aren't for the right reason. So you want a whole bunch of applications, then your review process narrows that list down to your interview process. Then you get down to the last person. Why do people turn down jobs when we offer it? It's our salary and benefits, right? Isn't that what we've heard, is that's why they turn Finneytown down for other instances? And here at Finneytown, we are different. That is the thing that makes us more different, I just made something up, but that differentiates us more than any school district in Ohio. But restorative practices and that sort of thing, it's great that we do it. It doesn't differentiate us. Lots of schools do it. They may not call it that, but the process is there. And I just think we need to expand the top of that funnel rather than getting the people that we want to apply to then get into that, right? We want more people applying, and then the next steps of our process should be what narrows down the people that we want working at Finneytown. But if you don't have that first number, we're missing people. That's just what I feel. Teachers that I have talked to, paid parental is a massive deal. It's big. It's even big to some of our teachers that are here, right? And benefits are something that is a recruiting tool. And just telling the people after we've offered the job what they are, we're not necessarily using them. If we are the teacher shortage is real. We have to differentiate ourselves to get the people to apply at Finneytown. That's why I think, and I truly think this is a recruiting tool.
I will say, we've never had anybody turn down that I'm aware of due to our salary. Our salary, in fact, when we redid our teaching scale, is very competitive, especially at the starting point.
And that's a word I would love in there, right?
Yep.
Competitive salary.
And I think in terms of our benefits, like, people accept before we even go to benefits. So I feel like just, you know, I wonder if there's something else, like a click on a link and you can view our benefit package, but we're not gonna be able to get the benefit package on there. And to just put pay parental leave, that, I don't know.
Could it be a line, if it's electronic, with a link to a benefits package summary, but say including as an example of what a benefit is? Because I do think we would get a lot more applications, and then we'd have a lot more variety to choose from for positions with that on there.
I think sorry.
No, I do think it would be a big recruitment thing, is if you could say, you know, comprehensive benefits package, including paid parental leave. Teachers are gonna see that and go, oh, let me apply here.
Or let me look at Finneytown.
Not
Yeah.
necessarily. I talked with a staff member yesterday at a soccer game, And he said that he left another district and came here, and he is happier than ever. He took a pay cut, but he's here because he wants to be here, because our administrators and our staff members, they show up and they show out and they bring that energy. And so I don't think paid parental leave is going to guarantee anybody to come here.
I don't think it guarantees.
yeah.
I think it opens the top end of the funnel. I think people will consider Finneytown. One story of a teacher coming and loving it, it's great, but it's not indicative.
It's also not exclusive.
Yeah.
They can have that love, but if they don't know Finneytown, the paid parental might bring them in to find out what Finneytown has.
I still think we just need to get more names there to go through our process to find the right people that fit what Finneytown is. And opening the top of that funnel, I think, is most important.
And that's going to add more work for you on adding it to the application, correct? If we create a link that will magically specify benefits. Benefits may be different depending on the employee also.
Yeah, I would want Anita to be involved in this conversation too, because she's our point person. But I think one of the things I just want to be cautious of, if we have everybody coming here for paid parental leave, we need teachers in the classroom.
For sure.
And so, you know, it gets back to my earlier doubts and reservations about paid parental leave, the impact on our students in the classroom. So I think as we're looking for a recruiting tool, it also sets us up to be in a difficult staffing position potentially, depending on the numbers. So I just want to, to me, we can get a link to benefits. I can see what that might look like and work with Anita on that.
I was just going to say, I don't feel like I have enough expertise to say what should or shouldn't be in a job posting. I've never posted an interview myself. But if there was some sort of link to benefits, that could be a positive, especially because our benefits are competitive. So I think
Very good,
touting our
Jess.
benefits as a whole as competitive, I think that should be on there.
And I don't think it's necessarily saying that we're going to get a different subset of applicants. We're still going to have the same choice process, the same application process that we've already gone through with our hiring committee. You're still going to find the right fit. It's just going to give you a bigger group to find the right fit versus a smaller subset where you may not have.
But I'm not necessarily saying, so I'm sorry,
Hmm?
but
No, you
so long day. I was at school myself as a teacher all day. So, I'm not saying I would necessarily have to see a link there, but competitive benefits for me that would address it enough.
I will draft something with Anita and bring it to the board next month.
Thank you.
Is that something we can vote on? Dave, I'd like to vote on that. Is that something we can do in the minutes or to notate that or?
When we come together next month about it,
Well, someone would have
it
to have it
depends
added to
on
the agenda.
how it's worded, and I will come prepared to be able to explain that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay, that sounds good to me too.
Anything else for board coordination? Long section. Item 8, financial matters. Do we have a motion for adoption of the consent calendar?
I'll move.
I'll second.
All right, Dave.
Thank you. First item, monthly financial report. We're into our new fiscal year. In July, we had real estate collections of $4,395,000, so that process has begun, that advance that the board approved. Total revenues in the month of July were $5,026,728. Expenditures in the month of July were $1,811,158, and again, that included 2 payrolls, as it always does in July, 1st of July and the last day of July. Ending cash balance in the general fund, $16,933,935 as of the end of July. Item B, depository investment balances as of July 31st, 2023. U.S. Bank, $261,181. U.S. Bank Construction Fund, $3,672,993. Star Ohio, $25,567,777. $3,642. Star Ohio Construction Number 2 Fund, $3,140,778. Star Ohio Construction Number 1, $1,223,743. And our newest fund to show up, our Star Ohio OFCC state share money, which they sent us money for a first draw to help have money there as we begin to enter these contracts, begin to have payments on them. $1,392,953. Item C is the interest to earn on depository investment accounts for July. General fund interest income was $92,310.25. And construction fund interest income in July, $19,354.11.
Tony's not here, so I have to say, wow, look at that interest.
I know,
So-
and a question, is any of that construction fund interest going to the OFCC portion, or is that just ours?
So we will keep it separate. We
Okay.
have our funds, we'll earn interest on it. They have funds, they'll earn interest on it,
Okay.
and it won't be segregated that way.
So this one's just ours?
Yes.
Okay,
Mhm.
thank you.
So then, item D is the report, which summarizes activity for the construction project. Really very little change from last month. Not a lot of bills were paid. At this point, we have expended $23,656,672. And we have purchase orders, and these are, at this point, I'm reporting on is strictly for Finneytown Elementary. $402,000 in purchase orders, things that we're waiting on, or things have to be completed before the bills will be paid. And then we have available as uncommitted dollars, which we will use for Phase 2 secondary campus of $7.6 million. Okay, item E is a recommendation to approve the payment for 2 invoices as listed. Item F is a recommendation to approve permanent appropriation adjustments for last year. And as you can see, those are listed out. And then item G is a recommendation to approve the total amount from all sources available for expenditure and balances for fiscal year 2024. That report is attached. This is required by the county auditor, budget commission each year. And this is in place to ensure that we don't spend money that we don't have. And so we won't spend all that money, but again, it is money available for us. Are there any questions about any of these items?
Okay. Have a roll call vote?
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes. Item passes. All right, moving on to item 9. Can I have a motion for the adoption of the consent calendar?
I'll move.
I'll second. Okay.
All right, so items A through I are all related to HR and staffing, and extended days approval for this fiscal year. Shifts there. Item J is our band will be competing in Louisville, and it's for the board to approve that competition at Bands of America, the regional. That'll take place September 15th, so that's exciting for the band. And the board has already approved their trip and later in the fall for Lucas Oil again, so that's exciting.
That's a quick question.
Yeah.
For the subs, we have a building sub at each campus.
We do.
In the 125, that's still competitive with other districts
125, yes.
a day.
Mhm.
And do all our subs get 125, or is it a little more for building subs?
Long term is 125,
Okay.
and the daily rate, I believe, is 115. But I
Okay.
can- And then Item L is our annual improvement for our SRO with Springfield Township.
Is it gonna be Kevin again?
It is going to be Kevin.
Okay.
And then the other items that were added, M, N, and O, those were all also staffing. The one we had on the previous board agenda, but we had it ending July. They worked time in August, so we're adding Ms. Noble and Ms. Ferris on for that. And then Mr. Bolton, who does our technology supports, we recognize we need to get him on there. So he was added as well.
Could I ask a question about item L, the 58,000, does that include all pay and benefits, or is that just?
That's the contract, that's what.
It's
So
not that expensive. I've shared at previous board meetings, but I think it was a special board meeting, but personally would like if we had a resource officer at each campus. So for that cost, I think we can afford it, so something to consider. So I know the township has said that they're able to provide that, but that's definitely something that I would be supportive of. It would reduce the response time by a few minutes, and that can make a huge difference. But looking at 58,000, that's not a whole lot compared to a lot of other things that we spend money on. So
I imagine that's a partnership where they also put some money invested into it too.
I don't know.
I think that's true.
Yeah.
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 Officers make more than 58,000 a year. Or they
Especially
should.
when you include
But
benefits.
for us, 58,000, that's not.
But yeah.
I can share right now in terms of the building admin and stuff like that, we feel like we're right sized, so I would put that out there, that we feel like we're with one SRO, so. I don't know that we have that.
For me, it's
quite
not so much like wanting to impose on admin, it's more reducing the response time by a few minutes could save lots of lives if the unthinkable were to happen. So for that cost, it's worth it.
I will say Springfield Township's response times, so. But yeah,
True.
I hear what you're saying.
Seeing as they're
Yeah.
right down the road.
Could the SRO flow between both buildings?
We set up a schedule, so this year, Kevin will be over at the elementary at drop-off time, or at pickup, drop-off time in the morning,
Can he issue
session.
tickets?
Huh? No, I know, we did ask for daily visibility in that setting
Can he
because
issue
we have
tickets?
had so many challenges in the morning with following the guidelines. So he will be there, he will also be here in the morning when our kids arrive. And so I think there'll be a little bit more visibility on both campuses this year, so.
If the board wants to think about another resource officer, give it some time.
Any other questions? All right, can I have a roll call vote?
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Item passes. Moving on to item 10, the approval of resolution authorizing superintendent change order approval authority up to $50,000. Can I please have a motion?
So moved.
I'll second.
This is the same number it was before,
Yes,
correct?
it
So
is.
it's not changing past policy. It's just reissuing.
Yeah,
For the new-
I would say that this is a little different from the resolution we passed 3 or 4 years ago, and that one, the original had a special provision too. If we went over like 1.5%, that we would bring each one to the board at any dollar amount. That doesn't seem like the best idea, and the whole idea behind this is to keep the project moving. We have meetings once a month. But if we do get to a point where I have any concerns, I will certainly let you guys know that, gee, we might want to look at, these a little closer.
But the 50,000 number in general
That
is
is
a
the same.
stand, okay.
Any questions? Okay. Roll call vote?
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yeah.
Item passes. Moving on to item 11, adoption of a resolution, approval of a construction manager at-risk agreement with Skanska USA Building Incorporated in conjunction with Ohio Facilities Construction Commission. Can I please have a motion?
I'll move.
I'll second. I think we talked about this previously already, so I don't really have any questions. But I know with Long Range Facilities, maybe I already knew about it.
I think we had announced the selection, we receive the contract and its approval.
Okay. Does anyone have anything? Okay. Mr. Oliverio, can we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. Lee?
Yes.
Ms. McMullen?
Yes.
Mr. Ray?
Yes.
Mr. Reed?
Yes.
Item passes. Item 12, this is a first reading, so we're not voting, is my understanding?
Right.
Okay. The memorandum of understanding between Finneytown Schools Educational Foundation and the Finneytown School District Board of Education in conjunction with the Ohio Facilities Construction Commission.
And I asked the board, Mr. Harleman is here today, and he would like to just share a little bit about this MOU.
Sure.
Just really quickly, Scott, has there been any changes to what you've sent us? to review
No,
before?
there's, everything you see there, I haven't changed anything. The one update that I would mention is in item 4C, where I said, recommended a $50,000 limit to special agreements between the district and the foundation. I would recommend increasing that to $100,000, just so we don't get caught in minutia.
Okay.
But other than that, that's the same that I sent you. Thank you. Well, hi, everybody. My name's Scott Harlemert, 790 Cloverview Avenue. I'm here representing the Finneytown Schools Educational Foundation, and I appreciate the opportunity to frame up item 12 here. Again, this is just a first reading, so there's no vote tonight. I just wanted to make sure this was out in public, and that the whole point of this is transparency. So, the foundation, since our inception in 1986, we've largely been a passive organization. We've enabled scholarships. We've enabled some pretty sizable capital construction projects, the McNulty Stadium being the biggest, most visible one. We also helped renovate the PAC several years ago. But largely we're a passive organization that allows donors to donate to, in a tax-advantaged way, to the district. So we exist solely to help support the district. The foundation is evolving. Our intent is to become more of a forward-leaning organization to run some special campaigns, to raise funds for special projects, also doing annual campaigns, and also to create a functioning alumni association. We don't have that in Finneytown today. We've got some Facebook groups, but that's not the same as an alumni association. So that's, I think Finneytown needs that, and we want to start creating that. So this memorandum of understanding, it's not a legal agreement, it's not a contract. It can be updated whenever we need to make updates to it. But the intent is to provide some guardrails between our two organizations for accountability, for operational procedures, for information security, and the idea here is that there's less opportunity for misunderstanding. And especially as we get into large projects or going and campaigning for contributions for large projects, having this agreement in place enables us to be transparent with the board, transparent with the community about what we hope to help with. So I welcome any questions you have or the public might have after the meeting. Happy to speak to it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you guys.
very
Thank
well laid
you.
out.
Appreciate
your work. Thank you.
Okay. That is all on number 12. We'll move to number 13, review of action steps.
Tony and I are meeting later this month to work on some things for Laura's evaluation.
Okay.
I don't know if, who's meeting about Dave's evaluation?
It's
Jamie and I have
Jaleesa
been
is
working
taking-
briefly.
yeah.
I do have printouts. I created a PowerPoint for mine. Jamie had traditional notes, but I do have copies of the PowerPoints as well as Jamie's comments. That's when I take and pass it down. You guys are meeting on September 29th, I believe I
Yes.
saw?
Yes.
Okay.
August 29th or?
September 29th. So-
August.
Is it August?
Did I say September?
Yes.
Should be
Oh, one
August.
day.
So is it?
It's
just
August
Sep-
29th. It's
Okay.
next,
August
it's next.
29th. Okay,
we're
I was
meeting
like,
next
ooh, it's a
week.
while. Okay.
Yeah, no, I think it's
Okay.
next, is that up Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
Just in case you guys want to take a peek at it, add notes, email us, well, not really email us, Having thoughts ahead of time.
Well, Dave can.
Oh, I didn't, I know, I don't think I
Do you
did it
guys
right.
have
I
any
grabbed two
objections to the PowerPoint or?
I think we'll probably talk about it at our next meeting.
So yeah, Tony and I don't have it for you. We were supposed to meet, it was my first week of school, so it just didn't happen. So-
And Tony had a
And
family
Tony has some
situation.
personal things that also came up.
That's what our executive session is going to be about tonight as well, so.
Thank you for providing the information. Okay.
And then I will draft some options in terms of notice for benefits, and also look into what it would be to potentially hire someone to do the live streaming for us.
Were there any other follow-ups that we had? Okay, I think that was it. Moving on to.
No more.
Moving on to item 14, announcements. The next regular meeting of the Finneytown Board of Education will take place on Monday, September 18th, 2023 at 6:30 p.m. in the Media Center of the Finneytown Secondary Campus, 8916 Fontainebleau Terrace, Cincinnati, Ohio 45231. Open forum will begin at 6 p.m.
I will move to adjourn.
Thank you.
I will second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.